I have facilitated and enabled partnerships between universities and business and have a fair bit of experience of reviewing innovation funding bids and project management of those types of innovation applied research projects. The session today will be led by Christopher Ryan. Chris is our transport portfolio and bid lead and has extensive and current experience of building strong collaborations and leveraging past experience to shape winning bids, working across non-destructive testing, energy, mobility, and innovation in a generic sense. And this session has been developed to support researchers across Birmingham and Ulsan universities, researchers and R&D professionals outside of universities in the innovation ecosystem in both cities to turn your great ideas for collaboration into projects and hopefully successful bids to make them real. If we could move to the next slide, Chris, please. So the session objectives are to get you closer to the innovation CR&D and Horizon funding. We specifically focus on Horizon quite a bit because of the projects you are currently focusing on, and increase your understanding of what the funders are looking for. Hopefully it should improve quality of bids. We will share practical tips on how to write the bids and what the funders are looking for. We also hope to provide you with the tools to make informed choices if and how to engage with Horizon Europe. So it directly responds to some of the potential myths and third-party opinions, and it should enable you to make that decision for yourselves and for your institutions. You will be able to evaluate the level of commitment that is required in order to partner, particularly if you are relatively new or new to Horizon. Next slide, please. And just a brief reminder of the context, especially for colleagues who haven't been that closely involved with our work on Diatomic. So this session has been possible because of a project called Diatomic, Digital Innovation Transformative Change, which is led by Connected Places Catapult with Birmingham City Council, Aston University, Birmingham City University, and University of Birmingham. Diatomic is funded by Innovate and the West Midlands Combined Authority, and it's a large-scale 4-year program, so we are in the 4th year. It's centered on health, tech, med tech, and clean tech, and it's aimed at driving economic growth and promoting city-to-city collaborations. So this specific work strand is an international work strand and has been building on the Innovation Twins program, which started in 2021 and paired Birmingham and Ulsan cities due to complementary strengths and some of the aligned challenges in those areas I just listed. Over the past 18 months, we have facilitated connections among close to 100 stakeholders across both cities. We've seen lots of great ideas and a handful of joint projects. So we are at this critical point that Diatomic funding is running to close in March next year. And the coordinators from the universities, the City Council and ourselves were really keen to put you in this good place, or as good as possible, to seek funding to continue those collaborations. And next slide, please. So this is your team that you can talk to and lean on. You will meet Annette Rushanov, who's kindly joining us today, and she's a Horizon expert as well. Annette has been overseeing and has been a senior sponsor for this project for the purpose of the global collaboration with academia, and she represents the Greater Birmingham and West Midlands Brussels office. And the rest of the team is from Connected Places Catapult. So Louise is a non-academic senior consultant for contacts with industry and local authorities in Ulsan. Myself, Nick, and Yongche is our representative in Korea. And next slide, please. And it's also my pleasure to introduce and make sure that you are aware of who your key contacts within your universities are. So please note the names. We will have email addresses if you haven't connected, but the best way to get engaged is also to consult your representatives, your coordinators, and your champions for your institutions, respective institutions. Professor Manolia has been a driving force for this collaboration. For example, is involved in several projects and New Horizon ideas and looking actively for new collaborative partners. Same for Weichi and for Mo Mayuf from BCU. Minzy San has been our main contact within University of Ulsan, and she's closely linked with the research office, and same for Mr. Patrick Kim, who works with Dohan, and they would be able to direct you through the most appropriate processes internally, but can also encourage you and hopefully help you to connect with the academics and with the program. Next slide, please, Chris. And I will not go into the detail, but I'm very happy for us to circulate this presentation. And this is a short summary of the areas of collaboration identified as very nicely aligned between Birmingham and Ulsan. You can see the subsectors that we have derived from numerous publications that were published between 2021 and now. So those are the areas that we would encourage you to focus on in terms of exploiting potential where your Korean partners can particularly leverage their strengths and vice versa. And I think it's over to you, Chris, on the next slide.
Thanks, Julia. Hi, everybody. So to start us off, I just kind of want to take a high-level view of CR&D funding. I know you probably know a lot about it already, but just kind of from my perspective, looking at the benefits of why CR&D funding exists, looking at it as kind of equity-free funding. It reduces the cost of developing new products. It's about anything that's high risk that you can't get capital for, about driving innovation. And it's in both columns, but enables collaboration is a positive for funding as well. But it also comes with some potential drawbacks, and it is a slow process. It is competitive, so there is a low success rate. And some people view collaboration as a negative as well, because they prefer to do things alone, to have full control or autonomy over things. But depending on what way you look at it, collaboration is a positive or a negative. This slide is kind of a view of what the fundraising landscape in the UK looks like. And depending on how you want to look at it, it can look expansive or it can look confusing. But different organizations, we will have our own targets and our own focuses on what we apply for. Because I know as a Catapult, we work a lot with Innovate UK, with Horizon Europe, with different government departments. And that's kind of where and with the research councils as well. But I know universities or different organizations will have different spheres that they can interact with. But this is just kind of to highlight what exists and what's out there. It's something that you can go through yourself in more detail when the slides are shared. And then another high-level overview of the technology readiness levels, the TRL levels, going from 1, which is your concept, to 9, which is the market-ready product. And then looking at where the different funding streams align to the TRL level. I know the ones you're probably most familiar with are the Research Council's Innovate, Horizon, or rather they're probably the ones I'm more familiar with. We also have the South Korean equivalent of the Innovate UK highlighted as well to show where they overlap. And now I kind of just want to talk about Innovate UK, because this is one of the biggest fundings that we have here. and just to talk through how I have approached the projects that I've worked on when I've been working on Innovate ones. So kind of the first thing is, when you have your idea, you have your technology, you have your solution, everything is about selecting the right partners. You have to make sure that everyone who's in your consortium is bringing something to the table and is strengthening what your solution is. And when an outside person, a reviewer, is looking at it, they understand why you have them in there and that they're adding to the collaboration. With Innovate UK, everything is about answering the questions that are asked. Even the ones that aren't applicable to you, you have to say why it's not applicable to you. You have to, but it's playing the game. You have to be able to provide a response to everything that they ask, everything that's in the scoring criteria. And that's how the assessors have to award the points. And to be able to kind of maximize that for them, you have to make sure that your answer is readable. Everything has to flow right, it has to make sense. You have to be short, you have to be sharp, everything has to be there for a reason. With the word restrictions, there's no way to hide, there's nowhere to waffle. Everything has to be very concise. And where possible, quantify your answers. When we're talking about what your solution is, what the benefits that this will provide to industry, to society, to specific users, try to put numbers on it and show how this is going to improve quality of life, how this is going to increase safety outcomes, how this is going to help the people that will interact with it. And well, it's in the title, but your idea has to be innovative. It needs to be something new, it needs to be something different, it needs to be something, I don't want to say interesting, because some of the ones that I have won have been very, very dull, but they have been innovative. But yeah, it can't just be a simple tweak that could be done with industry funding. It needs to be something that is different. It's a step change from what exists, and that's why it requires the CR&D funding. And with all funding, you need to make sure that there is a very clear route to market. You need to show the assessors how you are going to successfully deliver this project, but then what are the activities that's going to happen post-project to get this solution to the market. Because you might be finishing at TRL 7, TRL 8, but how are you going to get it put to TRL 9 and beyond? So that's where selecting the right partners is always, that's why they're very important as well. You need to make sure that you have someone who's going to own this post-project, who's going to be able to just be able to market it and sell it, and they can show how this project is going to be a success and why they want it to be successful. And then the normal things of having people who are not involved in the writing of the project to assess it. Make sure you get outside perspectives. When you are writing things, you get very close to it, so you make assumptions. Get someone in to make sure that what you're saying makes sense to a new reader. And well, another thing, make sure you comply with all the requirements for submission, what all the instructions are, if there's any documents that need to be uploaded. With the Innovate UK portal, they love adding new checklists and new requirements for submission. So make sure that you interact with the portal early, you understand what's required to be able to click the submit button. And always submit early. Portals are always finicky and they will break, and it will give you heartache when you're trying to come up to the 11 o'clock submission. With Innovate UK, there are two main types of funding with it. You have the specific industry challenges, and then you kind of have the more open and broad calls that they have. Depending on what your solution is, depending what your timeline and your requirements are, sometimes it is more beneficial to wait for a specific call to come out because they are more targeted. They will have less applicants compared to the open calls because they take in everything and anything. So the success rate for those is usually a lot lower. Depending on what kind of institution you are, funding can cover anything from 50 to 70%. But for, I think, most of us on the call as academics, as RTOs, we receive 100% funding. You will need to have an SME involved in your consortium. It'll need to have a commercial focus. It needs to be a product that has a pathway to getting to the market. With bid sizes, Innovate have a tendency to fund lower cost bids. So anything under $500,000 is kind of the target that you want to go to. They kind of do this because if they have a funding pot of 2 million, rather than funding 2 projects that cost £1 million each, they would like to fund as many ideas as possible. And that way they're reducing the risk and increasing the chance that some of these will be successful and will get to market. In your consortiums, always have a discussion on how the IP is, what IP people are bringing into it, how you're going to organize the IP then during and post project, and draw that out in the proposal as well, because it always builds confidence in the consortiums. You've had these discussions and you're thinking in the long term. I'm going to hand back over to Julia to talk about the TRIG projects that we run here at CPC.
Thanks, Chris. The main reason we wanted to flag is that still there is some mixed level of awareness of this grant scheme in the academic circles, and it's a great one to engage and work on some of your early TRL 2 to TRL 4 level innovations. So the CPC Connected Places Catapult has been delivering this program on behalf of or for the Department for Transport, the UK Ministry for Transport since 2014. And we have commitment, obviously depending on government funding priorities, but nominal commitment to continue this collaboration for the next few years. So it's the one to watch this space. The grants are available to researchers and researcher-led partnership projects, as well as SMEs and even larger companies and local authorities in exceptional circumstances. Primarily, researchers and university teams have been applying, and the vast majority of grants go to SMEs, probably 70-30 ratio towards industry. A great scenario is for a university, for an academic to partner with your spin-out or with one of the colleagues who perhaps would consider spinning out. So the grants are in the region of 45-50K historically. No much funding is required, and also no industry partner is required per se at the submission rate. The projects run for 6 months and follow a kind of very kind of organized, very strict timeline. So quite a bit of consideration needs to be given into the team being in place before you start delivering or applying for this project. And if Chris, we could go to the next slide, please. I have a privilege to be reviewing some of the TRIG rounds over the last few years. And because of my specific focus on engaging with academia, I was analyzing from the perspective of who does well at what. comparing how SMEs put their proposals together, comparing to the university-led ones. And it was quite striking. So I wanted to take this opportunity to flag to you, if you decide to bid, you can bid in partnership for the next round of TRIG, and you can bring international global partners, clearly for application of innovation to benefit the UK, because it's funded by the Ministry of Transport. However, you can plug the gaps in, and it would be great to leverage some of the USAN strengths in those applications. In terms of what to look out for, applications from universities tend to be great at setting the global context and a global challenge. And it's sometimes difficult to work out from a reviewer, even technical reviewers struggle to work out what your specific innovation, what problem are you fixing? What difference are you going to make? You're not going to fix the whole world. You're not going to make good for the global decarbonization challenge. So what difference are you going to make in a measured way over the next few years? The more precise and succinct you can be, the better. The other strong tip I would give is, remember, you can lean on wider team within your university or your partner universities. So don't think only of a colleague or researcher or PhD that will deliver, or only about the PI or research development colleague who tends to write the bid. Consider the wider team. For example, if you prove feasibility of your idea or innovation, please consider your tech transfer office. Would you be talking to them about protection and about commercialization and route to market? Make sure that this is also costed in your contribution in kind. The costs are actually quite substantial in terms of that contribution in kind, and your research office would be very keen to help you reflect it in your financial spreadsheets. And why the university partnerships? This is what I kind of called out here. You personally might not know the industry players you're reaching out to for your innovation for a set transport mode, but check with your partnership team whether they hold university level partnerships and lean on those and count on your introductions. That is quite important, in fact, critical to success of projects delivered on such tight timeline. And I would like to close on this monetization comment on point 7. Monetization is sometimes frowned upon in my initial conversations with researchers, as I'm mostly doing it to make the world a better place, and money is kind of secondary. Let's look at monetization as the way to make your research and your innovation sustainable and deliverable. If you don't think who will pay for it, how it will be funded, what could be the potential business model to make it a reality post-project, it's lost and shelved. So monetization is actually sustainability of your innovation, and bear it in mind. Over back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Julia. And now to kind of move on to Horizon Europe. I presume we are all aware of Horizon. We know it's Europe's flagship program. It's 95 billion over the term of it, and it's due to end in 2027. And it's open to many countries outside of the European Union. And thankfully, the UK is now back in. And so why would we be interested in European funding? Well, like most CR&D, it is equity-free funding, reduces the cost of new product development. It's about funding what can be viewed as kind of high-risk ideas, looking at developing new products, and really about enabling collaboration across Europe and with specific global partners as well. Sorry. So from researchers' perspective, Birmingham universities and CPC have experience and a track record when it comes to bidding with Horizons and securing and winning Horizon projects. You gain global visibility of your research, and it's a good chance to be able to grow your network. Sorry,
I'm really sorry.
yeah, I just muted
Oh, thank you.
them. And sorry there. Yeah, so researchers' perspectives allows you to grow your network, build new connections, and kind of develop your skills and learn from your partners in different institutions in different countries. The drawbacks for Horizon is, again, it is slow, it is very competitive, and depending on your viewpoint, you might not like the collaboration aspect of it. From my perspective, working on Horizons, the three key elements are: what is your solution, what is your partnership, and how have you structured the response that you've written. So when it comes to the solution, does this align to the call? Is this relevant? Is this a new innovative idea? And are there any gaps? Is there some missing element that would really solidify your solution and make it stronger, make it better? When it comes to your partnership, it's, does everyone add value? When you're looking at it, can you tell at a glance why everyone is involved in your consortium and what they are bringing to it? Do you have in there who's going to be bringing this solution forward when you successfully deliver the project? Do we have the right people in there? Do you have, from the technology aspect, from possibly manufacturing or scaling, from testing, from end users, and yeah, who's going to own this and who's going to be the driver of this to secure it getting to the market? And when it comes to your response, with Horizons, you have to plan out how you're going to approach them, what you're going to include in the sections. From a high level view, you have to make sure it's readable, it's understandable, and that it flows, that people will be able to understand and follow what you're doing. And you have to answer all of the different elements of the questions. Even if you think something is not applicable, you have to say why it's not applicable. And that way, a reviewer would be able to say, you have assessed that and you've justified why that doesn't apply to you. I can give you the marks and you won't be penalized for it. With the written response for Horizons, the three sections are excellence, impact, and implementation. Out of these, the most important one is the impact section, as that is what historically has gotten the most attention. They want high impact projects that will make a visible difference, a visible change, and it's something that they can highlight and they can advertise and that they can tout. But when it comes to the excellence section, that's where you highlight the objectives of what your project is and you lay out the methodology that you're going to use to successfully implement it. With this, they kind of look for how sound is your methodology? Are you giving proper details? Are you being fully critical of what you're doing? And they're going to have technical reviewers looking at this, so they will be able to say, is it sound? They'll be able to look at it in detail and question you if they disagree, which they will always do. And your objectives, they need to be clear and they need to be relevant and achievable and ambitious as well. With the impact section, what they want to do is they want to see, have you laid out how you are going to deliver the project? How are you going to disseminate this project? What is your exploitation plan? How are you going to communicate this? How are you going to achieve the outcomes and the impacts that you have laid out in section 1? And is it achievable? Do they believe you? Are you going to get the most out of the funding that you're going to be securing? So with these, you do have to spend a lot of time to make sure that you are covering all the areas, that you are engaging with the right stakeholders, that you incorporate the technical people, the industry people, with communities, depending on what your project is, but that you are building them all in and targeting each of them and interacting with them throughout the project. And then they've also included kind of a summary, which is kind of like a canvas or a logic model that highlights what your project is, what the impacts are, and how it all flows. So that is something people can look at to get a high-level view of what your project is. So it's worth spending a good bit of time on that summary to make sure that it makes sense, it highlights, and it's impactful on what the project is. With section 3, the work plan and resources, that's describing how your project is going to be structured, what the tasks are, what the work packages are. With this, my advice is integrate all of the consortium into the different work packages. You don't want to be assigning a certain work package to a certain partner, because from a reviewer's perspective, that looks like you're not collaborating well, that you're not integrated, and that you don't want to work together. Whereas if you have partner A leading the work package, but then partner B, C, and D might be leading certain tasks, they might be interacting and collaborating on the different tasks. It just shows why you need this funding and how you've really thought through on your idea, and that you're someone that can successfully work together and deliver it. With the work plan as well, kind of linking it back to the methodology of how you're going to be implementing the things. Don't just keep it short to, we'll do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this. You want to kind of build confidence to show you know what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you expect the outcome to be. And you also have to highlight the resources that will be assigned to the different work packages. And with this, you need to think through how that looks and how that corresponds to the workload. Because I've received feedback on some Horizon 2020s where they were questioning the resource allocation, and they didn't believe that there was enough resource allocation for certain work packages, or they believed there was too much allocation for other ones. So even small things like that, reviewers will pick up on it, and they kind of assess everything to see how robust your proposal is being. The other element of section 3 is the participants and the consortium as a whole. So this is where you talk about your track record collaborating together in delivering either Horizon projects or different funding projects, but it's just about showing what is your track record and what confidence they should have in you to successfully deliver a project. In this as well, don't just talk about qualifications you might have, use it to kind of highlight the impacts that the individuals have had, the experience that they bring to it, and any accolades that you might have achieved. So when it comes to you individually looking at how you want to kind of approach Horizon, both as kind of individual organizations and as consortium, you want to kind of formulate what you're good at and what is your strength. Because if you know that as an individual, then when you do come together as consortia to collaborate, you know where your gaps are, where you might have a weakness, where you might need to bring someone else in to make it stronger. Horizons have a long lead time. You spend a lot of time early on discussing how to formulate the solution, how to tweak things, how to get everyone involved before it really gets to the writing of it and ready for the submission. So I'd encourage all of you to get involved in that concept development stage, get involved early, and to be able to input into what the final solution is. Because this, depending on how you look at it, it will make the solution better, but also from your organizational state or perspective, it will ensure that you can have the position that you want to have, you can secure the budget that you want to secure. But really, it's just about making the solution that you're developing the strongest it can so that you will receive the funding. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure that you merge your approach and that you fully collaborate together, that your multiple partners are working on the work packages, that it looks like this is an integrated solution that you have designed and it isn't each partner is leading one individual work package, and from a kind of a Gantt chart perspective, it looks like you don't interact with each other, but then that just does not instill any confidence, and funders will kind of look very negatively on that. Lean on experienced organizations to kind of help coordinate the Horizon journey. So I know Aston University have experience in this, and I think they had offered to help coordinate bids for Horizon. And there are kind of multiple different roles that you can have in the Horizon. You'll have the one lead partner, but then you'll also have work package leads and kind of different supporting roles for partners. So if you want to build up experience, you can have a supporting role. You could ask to become a work package lead. And if you do that enough times, then it shows your experience, your track record to potentially lead Horizons in the future. So now I kind of want to talk about kind of a bid or no bid decision. This is generally applied to commercial opportunities and tenders, but it can work as well for CR&D and Horizons. So kind of a thing to ask yourself is, does this project align to the funder's strategic plan? We kind of have general ideas of what direction, be it Innovate UK or Horizon Europe, are going in. What are the topics that they like to fund? Does my project align to that? Yes or no? Do you have the experience and expertise in the project area? Do you have a track record? Would you instill confidence in a funder that this is something that you can do? If yes, brilliant. If not, do you need to bring someone else in who can bring that to the table? What is the return on investment? Like with this, they're going to be giving you the funding. They need to see what is the ROI on it. What is the market that you're targeting? Is it just a national one? Is it international? What is your route to market, and how are you going to exploit that? Who are the potential partners? Who do you want to collaborate with? Do you know them? Do you have a good record with them? Are you likely to be able to get them on board? And then, can you support the need for this research? Can you justify why you need the CR&D funding to be able to do this? Are there any other avenues that you can pursue? And then for yourselves, what is the probability of success? The CR&D bids, they take a lot of time, a lot of effort from yourselves. Depending on your institutions, you might need to pull in people from your finance teams and different offices to be able to help with different elements of it. Is there a competitive chance of success, and does it justify doing all that? So they're kind of decisions that at CPC, these are the things that we look at when we kind of make a decision of, do we want to get involved in the bid, and is this something that we want to pursue? Then when it comes to writing proposals and writing the responses, a key thing is you need to be aware of who the audience is. This is applicable to commercial opportunities, but also to the CR&D ones as well, because we know what the topics that they like are. We know what's being funded at the moment, but also when they have multiple evaluators who are looking at our responses, and we need to be able to speak to all of the audience. We need to be able to speak to the technical people who will be looking at our methodology and will be questioning why you are using a certain approach. They will have their own ideas, their own biases, and you have to make sure that your response clearly lays out why you want to use your methodology and what other ones you have considered and why you believe yours is the best. You want to be able to speak to someone who might have a program management background, and they'll be looking at the Gantt, they'll be looking at the resources, they'll be looking at the budget, and they'll be looking at your project from that sense to see, is this deliverable? Have you considered everything? What are your risks? What are your mitigations? How would I feel if I were running this project? And then you'll have people who will be looking at the impacts and what are the benefits? What could this project lead to? So there'll be a lot of different lenses that will be scrutinizing your proposals. So you have to make sure that you have something that speaks to everyone, and that also that everyone can understand the other sections. So structure and tone. So the structure is, how have you approached the written response? With Horizons, you have a lot of freedom in how you want to structure it. You have the 3 sections, and I think they give you, is it two or three subheadings that you have to follow. And then you're able to kind of pull out from their descriptions what is required, what needs to be answered. I also recommend looking at the evaluation criteria and seeing what they're going to be evaluating it against, so that you can pull out what are the key terms, what are the kind of important parts that need to be addressed. Use them as subheadings and kind of build out your proposal from there. But you also have a lot of freedom on how you lay things out. Do you want to draw things out into text boxes? Do you want to use white space to highlight key elements, key points? Do you want to have diagrams that could explain how something is going rather than having kind of a dense text? So take time to kind of formulate how you want to approach your proposal so that you know what you're doing and kind of work from there. With all writing, you want to make sure that it flows, that everything works together and it doesn't look very disjointed. So with that, it's best to have kind of one person overseeing the text as the author. Loads of people contribute, but you need one person holding the pen and kind of pulling it all together. And also, don't add features that aren't asked for. If something isn't asked for in the proposal, isn't specified in the evaluation criteria, kind of don't add it. It might be very interesting, but they won't be able to award you additional points for it. So it is just kind of taking up space and not allowing you to talk about what is scored. When it comes to writing and the tone that you use, it's best to use the active voice, use gender neutral language where you can, reflect the tone of the funder. So the wording, the language that the Horizon Europe may use, either in their proposals, in their in any of the, I can't think of the word now, any of the literature or media that they put out, just see how it is that they talk and then reflect that back to them. Avoid using any jargon or niche terms in industry. I know this is always a problem at CPC because we get very we get very wrapped up in our own terms, and we have to make sure, is this a CPC term or is this an actual industry? Is that a term that people will understand outside of CPC? So we do have to ask ourselves that quite a lot. And then features and benefits. So like a feature is what your solution has. Like the example given here, like is headphones. A feature of headphones is they are wireless, but a benefit to that is no more tangled cords. So it will save you time, it's less stressful, they're ready to use when you need them. And so with features and benefits, technical people are very good at pointing out the features because that's what we get excited about. That's what we like because that's what we're interested in. But benefits are what get most people excited about something. Because a feature is fine, but a benefit impacts me. That's what will hopefully positively impact my life. So when you have your solution, think about, list out what the features are, but then translate them to benefits. And you can have multiple different benefits for different users. It might be, if this is a solution for industry, the benefit for them could be, it can reduce the cost, it could reduce the time, it could increase the safety, reduce risk, whatever it is. But then how does that affect the public? And see, how does that benefit then translate down to them? Is it something that will reduce the cost of a final product, or is it something that will benefit them in some other way? So kind of, it's always worth taking time to list these out and see what are the impactful ones and what do you want to kind of push in your proposal. I just have an example here of turning technical language into benefit-led language. I won't go through this now, but you can look back on it when the slide deck is shared. And then theme statements. So a theme statement, they're a handy exercise to do as a consortium to help solidify what it is you're doing and what your approach is. And it will kind of help you as well when you go away to kind of individually write your contributions. If you kind of have a vision in mind and you know what it is, then when you're writing up your parts and contributing to the main coordinator, it'll be more aligned and it'll be easier to incorporate together. It's kind of with a theme statement, you want to identify a benefit to the end user, to the customer, that's linked to one of your features, tie that to an issue that the kind of customer is having, highlight your track record, your success with that, and quantify it where possible. So this is just about kind of being very succinct in what you're doing, what your solution is, and why it's important. And with theme statements, a good kind of test for them is, could a competitor believably make the same claim? So can someone else say the exact same thing? Is what I'm doing, is it truly unique to me? And also, could an evaluator copy and paste the statement into their evaluation feedback to justify why your project should be funded? So like I mentioned before, you have a lot of freedom in how you lay things out. if you have good theme statements, if you have one that you believe is very strong, you can have that on the first page of your proposal. You can kind of draw it out into a text box, have white space around it so that the eye is drawn to it, and that's what an evaluator might read as their first impression of what your proposal is. And it's all about kind of giving that positive impact, getting them on side from the start. And then kind of building on from those, you have value propositions, and these are kind of a step beyond the theme statements. And they kind of they kind of build in tangible or quantifiable assets or elements into it. So what is the return to be gained from the investment? What is the timings to the benefits? What's the payback period? When do you expect to get this into market? And it's just about adding more evidence and showing that you've thought more about it and that you can give figures to things. And I think, was it Annette? Are you going to be taking this slide?
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thanks very much, Chris and Julia, for this insightful webinar. I truly enjoyed it myself. So this wealth of opportunities and raising awareness to the programs that might be suitable and appropriate for collaboration between UK and our global South Korean partners. So indeed, I have tried to draw a couple of conclusions, but of course it is only through my personal filter. Because I could have listed loads of other ideas as well here. So the first would be indeed use the opportunities like this. So leverage partnerships like this diatomic academic collaboration between UK and South Korea. Choose the appropriate program for your idea, and indeed assess whether it's a bid that is the most appropriate to work together, or is it another form of collaboration? Bring the right partners with you, so it's not only about friends, it is addressing a challenge. And for that, you might need to think outside of the box. Speak the program's language. Even if you have an excellent idea, you cannot write it as academic essay or a scientific publication, because you need to package it in the right language that the program is looking for. Start from a real need. Because that's the best way to describe the idea. So if you try to make up something just for the sake of the call, and that will not work out. So fake ideas will be obvious for the evaluators. Be explicit, because evaluators are not your friends. They are looking for how to make your idea fail, actually. So you have to be really explicit, and they will not guess. They wanted to say that actually, because I think they want to do that. No, is it really written there, or is it not? Because this is what will be evaluated. Demonstrate true collaboration. So throughout the whole proposal, make it evident that you have a real partnership. You want to collaborate, because these are collaborative research innovation programs. And never give up. Even if you fail for the first time, many proposals, many projects that are awarded are not awarded in the first shot. So they are resubmitted. Take into consideration the evaluation results. You always get feedback from the evaluators, and taking into account those feedbacks, you can very often improve your idea. And obviously be innovative, because it's about collaborative research innovation projects. So innovation and bringing something new to the world, how you want to solve challenges will be the core, the essence of your global collaboration. And yeah, these were just a couple of ideas that I have pulled together myself. But thanks very much, Julie and Chris. It was excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annette, for joining us. And
Thank
I
you.
know you have to leave us early, but thank you for being with us and sharing your insights, invaluable with your vast experience. So thank you. Chris, can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. And I've noticed a few colleagues have to leave us, so we are almost on time. But I'm glad a couple of people in a chat probed how to become engaged, which has been a driving force behind developing this session. So it's good to see that people have project ideas that you might be leading, or you might want to join on projects that others have developed. Through Diatomic, we had a community platform last year, and several, I think about a dozen project ideas were shared with us by professors from Ulsan and from Birmingham. And a few of those collaborations are progressing. So I would really encourage you, if you are from the University of one of the three universities in Birmingham, so Aston, BCU, or University of Birmingham, please speak to your coordinator. The email address is on this slide. Manolia, Weichi, and Mo, or Martin Weston. We have a workshop at the planning stage for next Monday. So those colleagues are best placed to advise you whether your research and your expertise or your ideas are aligned with Project Diatomic, and we could showcase them for potential future collaboration, to look for partners, or to look for the match as part of that session on the 20th. If you are a colleague from one of the Ulsan universities, so UNIST or University of Ulsan, please speak to us. So you can either explore it in more detail with Yongche Wan. Email address is on the bottom of this slide. And Yongche will be able to provide you the background detail conversations that have already taken place with research offices in both universities. Or you are very welcome to contact Nick on this slide if you are interested directly to engage with a workshop next week. We have very much bore in mind that Horizon is actually new. Pillar 2 is open to collaborations in Ulsan, and colleagues in Birmingham shared a few really exciting project ideas in a digital twin, smart cities and energy space that we will share more details next week. And we would really be really keen to see interest from those academics from Ulsan to explore how your expertise can be leveraged as part of or as a work package within that submission. That should give you an opportunity to also develop your understanding of the process, of the language, and get a steer from colleagues from Birmingham who have that experience of Horizon directly for the past few years and successfully secured multi-million-pound bids in the past. So leverage that knowledge, work with us, and let's do it together. And before I proceed to the kind of useful link slide, a call to action to everyone, whether you want to collaborate and whether you are in a position to engage with Horizon this year, perhaps due to your teaching commitments, don't be discouraged by your limited capacity, and please join a network. So there is a link on this slide to join the network for connected places. It's a non-committal opportunity for you to start engaging with outside of your comfort zone, with some of the industry players, with some of the SMEs, outside academia and within academia, to build, I think Annette very wisely referenced that bring the right partner, and the right partner is not necessarily from the relatively narrow circles of our friends and from our comfort zone. So joining wider networks will perhaps take you outside that comfort zone, but as a catapult, we run workshops and events that enable researchers, enable that exposure to the industry language and to the industry environment. So outside of academic network that you will be joining, we have an SME network with cohorts of accelerators collaborating across industry, different transport modes, energy, smart housing and smart cities. We have a dedicated digital twin hub, so we would signpost you to the right communities and provide you with opportunity to engage. You also, on joining, would receive a link to share your project ideas. So I think someone in a chat posted, and Jess said, I'm working on a project currently, and how do I make it available or share with people, and how do I engage? Joining the network, messaging one of your contacts here, plus if you join a network, Nick will be in touch, Nick Loke, and if you have a research needs assessment requirement, RNA requirement, you can complete the form and we can look at what specific contribution you would look from partners and from within SEPC. Hope that kind of clarifies the process. And on closing, I just wanted to highlight the Birmingham Tech Week. Obviously, an exciting opportunity for yourselves to engage. We are planning academic workshops on Tuesday, but throughout the week, please look at the Birmingham Tech Week website and engage. If we can move to the next slide, I think it's, thank you, Chris. So thank you very much for participating, and we have run out of time. Nick has answered the questions in the chat. Have we got any questions in the chat that haven't been answered? I haven't noticed any. Would anyone like to ask any questions directly? I've seen that someone raised the hand and lowered it. So please feel free to contact us afterwards. We will tidy up the slides and the recording, and it should be with you over the next 2 weeks. And thank you very much. On the last slide, you will receive useful links to the funders and funding and the events that I have mentioned. So hopefully the links will work and will enable you to engage with this project. Project Diatomic, as I said, is running till March next year. So it's very time dependent, resource slim. You have some amazing champions in your institutions and research offices that are keen to enable you to collaborate. So let's build on it. And between Annette's expertise, Chris's expertise, and this keen team, we are really keen to help to pave way for multi-year collaborations going forwards, well beyond this project. Thank you for being with us, for joining us. It was good to see so many keen faces. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.